Well, their character, their academics, what their transcripts say, what the people in the school say about them, their work ethic, their passion for the game of football. Do they like getting in the weight room? Their social media. I get a social media report every week on every one of these guys. All of our 16 recruits, all of our 17 recruits, some of the top 18 recruits. And we track all that stuff. Everything counts. Their test scores, their ability to be successful here, academically is important. There's a long list of things, boxes that we kind of have to check. Obviously, they got to be talented enough, but it's not just, you talk about championship people, it's all of that. All of it plays a factor.
Going into spring football, are there any areas on your roster where you really need people to step up and prove themselves?
Well, I mean, defense, first and foremost. We got about everybody back on offense. We're going to lose Sharon Pete and plug Mike Williams back in there. So he's pretty good. So I think that'll fill a big void right there. All our other guys are pretty much back. And I think we'll be better. I think we're going to be better on the offensive line, even though we're losing two really, really good players in Mack and Gore. I think that the maturation of some of these younger guys, Hearn and Falcinelli and Crowder and Maverick, bringing now Giella, getting him going, getting Noah Green going, throwing Pollard in the mix. I think getting Frew Morgan, up there, he's ready. Mitch has had a year of experience. Guillermo he wasn't even here last spring. So I just think that we're a really complete offense right now. But right now, defensively, that's our biggest focus going into the spring, because we got to replace B.J. Goodson. We got to replace Shaq and Dodd. Defensive end is probably that's where the lights are going to shine the brightest from everybody, from us, from y'all, because who's going to go compete and win those jobs? I really love the guys we have on campus. Again, I think we've recruited well. It's just next man up. It's the next guy's opportunity. Cleveland Furl's coming off of a redshirt year. Yergin got some experience. Register, hopefully we got him healthy now and he's ready to get in that mix. Austin Bryant really played well for us. We'll throw Xavier in that mix. LaSamuel's here, so it's going to be very competitive. I think this year we'll have more competitive depth in that D-line than we had last year. Last year we had depth, but it wasn't very competitive. Because the drop-off from Shaq and Dodd to those next guys was pretty big. That's just called experience, not a drop-off in talent, just experience. Whereas this year, it's going to be a whole different deal. And so I love the competitive. When you have competitive depth, it really makes everything better. And because we're talented. And then obviously we got to figure out the secondary situation. I think we've got some really big getting Cordray back, and you look at our corner situation, love Mark Fields, Adrian Baker, Marcus Edmond, Ryan Carter, those are guys, Chalmers, these are guys that I think are all, on their way to being good players, and I think you start with Jadar and Van at safety, and we'll see where the rest of the guys are. So we got a good group, anxious to see those backers step up. We've got a bunch of guys that got some experience last year. Same thing, we had a lot of drop-off from the experience of BJ and Ben to the total lack of experience with Kaylin and Kendall, or Jalen and Kendall and JD and Judah, all those guys. Nobody really had any experience. And now all that will be different this year. So that competitive depth, and then you throw in Shaq and Trey Lamar, get Skowski in this summer. I think it's a really good situation. But we've got the most holes on defense.
Coach, would it be possible to get a commitment from you today if you were in the national championship game next year, you might find a pair of matching pants to go with that jacket?
That'd be great with me. You could talk me into it. That'd be just fine. No problem.
Wait a minute.
Might be a little hot in Tampa, though.
Dabo, what did you think of the decisions of 3 DBs to leave early, and then what was Jeffrey's? What was his logic or reasoning?
He just wasn't happy anymore, and just felt like he needed a change. And that's that's his decision, and support that and move on. But as far as the other guys, I thought that Mac would come out. I think he's ready. J-Ron, I don't think he finished like we all would have liked him to, and that he would have liked to. Hopefully he can kind of make up some ground, but he did get a second-round grade, and I think that was kind of what he was hoping to have. So hopefully it'll work out where he'll at least be second-round or best. I've always said that. I don't think guys should leave early, unless they're a first-round or at worst a second-round guy. They really shouldn't. I mean, that's just, to me, that's just my opinion. So all you can do is put the facts out there, and everybody's got to make their own decisions. But I felt like TJ needed to be back, and I expressed that to him. I thought he really was a guy that had the potential to be a first or second round draft pick. I really felt like that. I just felt he needed another year. But again, that's just my opinion. That's all you can do. But I support him 100% because he really thought about it. He went through his process, and he asked all the right questions. And at the end of the day, he felt like that he's ready. Even if he's a third or fourth rounder or whatever, he felt like he's ready to kind of take that next step. And so, shoot, man, love all those guys, appreciate all those guys. But TJ was the only one that I felt like, in my heart definitely should have come back. But we'll see how it all plays. That doesn't mean he's not going to get drafted and go be successful and hopefully play 10 years. That'd be great. I just thought that, you from a business standpoint, you always want to maximize the front end. And but again, those are those guys' decisions, and I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to coach all those guys these past few years. And then Kevin Dodd got a second-round grade, and I think he was still kind of contemplating coming back, but he went and really dominated in the national championship game. I mean, just dominated the game, and I think with his performance in that game. He's put his best foot forward. I think he solidified himself as at least a second rounder with the chance to maybe move up. So really happy for those guys that they're getting a chance to achieve their dream.
Has Mike Williams been fully cleared?
Yeah, I think he's back doing everything. We're not going to tackle him this spring, but we're going to do some throw and catch and all that. He looks good.
Can you talk about your red shirts from last year's class and who stood out to you coming into this year?
The red shirts from last year, you have to throw some names at me. Anybody specific you want to talk about? Muse, I thought he got better all throughout the season. He was a guy when he came in fall camp. I thought, that's until you start coaching guys, you don't know how they're going to transition mentally, physically, kind of put it all together. That's what I was saying. Kevin Dodd, we're sitting here talking about Kevin Dodd, all right, who was a third-teamer last year. He was third team. Played 92 snaps as a fourth-year guy out of high school. This was his actually fifth year out of high school because he prep schooled a year. And now we're talking about him being a second or first-round draft pick. And I'll never forget when my first spring with Brent, he was about to jump off a cliff. And we were talking about, I was like, hey, Kevin's going to be a good player. He's like, oh, my God, he'll never play here. And because he had so far to go from a developmental standpoint. And, so guys improve, they get better. And he was one of those guys that I thought did just that. And so they're not all ready as freshmen. They don't all just pop out of a box and no assembly required, Sammy Watkins, here I am. That's just not reality. And there's so much pressure on these guys from that standpoint, but I'm always mindful of that. Reed Webster he didn't play really to his fifth year here, and he was almost an MVP of our offense. He just kind of hung in there and got better and got better and got better. But sometimes you have guys that walk in like Christian Wilkins, and not only are they physically ready, but mentally they're ready. I thought Muse was physically ready, but he mentally wasn't quite where he needed to be. And so when you're not quite confident like you need to be, you don't play as fast. But I saw that throughout this fall. I saw him just kind of, that swagger kind of getting in his stride again. But this kid can fly. He can run, and he is physical. And so he's one of those guys that I can't wait to see this spring. It's a big spring. He's going to get a ton of opportunity. And, you know, he'll get all the installation again for the second time. And so hopefully it'll be a little smoother transition for him.